Damn it. Debated again by these guys. These drafts are so damn slow. But hey, they're starting. I don't know. They always take a really long time. Some teams don't take much time at all. Some teams just like to take their time getting into the draft. But either way, we're here for the second set of the day. It's going to be Elite Wolves, fresh off of their victory, now having to face up against Sacred to decide who, along with Pain Gaming, gets to move on to the next phase. Winner of this has to face up against SG Esports, so that's not fun. I'm Mike Loris. Going to be joined this time by MRP Dota. Dude, Elite Wolves, I don't know who this guy is, the second standing guy, but I'm pretty sure that's not the Wind Ranger of last game.
Yeah, unfortunately, because she was certainly kind of one of the reasons that they emerged successful from that series. I hope for their sake they don't pick Kunkka, but that's all the flaming I'll do for this series. Sacred, they looked good yesterday. They didn't look phenomenal. And I believe they lost that series that we casted against Pain, right? So the first game, they looked not too bad. This last couple of games, it felt like they got out-strategized. Execution, though, for the most part, looked pretty good for King Tekka and his squad. So we'll see if they can kind of carry that over. But as you mentioned, Elite Wolves, despite having a standard, coming off a win. So we'll see if the momentum carries over for them.
I think the game that we saw Sacred win, it seems like their draft was more so just heroes that they're comfortable with, like picking up an Underlord. There are very few situations where it's like, oh, Underlord, got to pick up that hero to counter this, this, and this. It's like, no, you just pick up an Underlord and you're okay with that. Luna as well, one of Benjaz's best heroes, from what I've seen at least. Just heroes that they just picked up and were comfortable with is what let them win. None of them are really banned out this game. Puck, of course, is taking out, but Elite Wolves are going to go back to their roots that we saw in the earlier games in the last series. First, picking an Undying, immediately Sacred, pick up a Spirit Breaker, and Ancient Apparition. There we go. Pretty nice hero to have versus Undying that AA.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of negates the Soul Rip and to some extent the Decay as well. So really nice to have up against the Undying. Also kind of the Deny pick with the Spirit Breaker. You touched upon the key ban. I think you were talking about Sacred's propensity to pick up their comfort picks. Leo Styles Puck is certainly high on that hierarchy of heroes that they're comfortable playing. He looks to be very flashy and often can kind of make the plays that propels his team forward into the mid game early on, especially in lane on his Puck. So wise ban from Elite Wolves, and obviously these teams know each other relatively well, but pretty cool opening for Sacred as well. Obvious synergy between these two heroes, and one that's kind of taken away from the Undying as a very scary lane partner for him, and one that's good up against the Undying and all that he offers as far as his toolkit.
Yeah, the big change for the Ancient Apparition. Enchantress is still in the pool, so she's going to be picked up. But the big change for the AA, Chilling Touch at least, gives you a little bit less damage, but you don't get hit by that attack speed slow. In many situations, I think that's making Ancient Apparition just a little bit worse as far as that skill is concerned. But with the Spirit Breaker, you want all the attack speed you can get. So very, very possible now to just charge in on some of these softer heroes that Elite Wolves may or may not pick up and just destroy them with that extra magical damage. So Sacred definitely have some combos going for them. Ancient Apparition also getting a little bit extra value now. There's another heal on the field. Enchantress, the pick for Elite Wolves. Haven't got to see this hero played all that much because she's always banned. But for Elite Wolves, Undying and Enchantress as a support duo seems
It's interesting. I mean, they can always throw Undying in the core role. As you mentioned, it's probably a little bit more likely that he is not. But with a greedy hero like the Enchantress, putting Undying in the 5 would be very odd. Enchantress can kind of play that role, but she's a hero that you want to get farm. I think the thought process here for Elite Wolves is just that Spirit Breaker wants to be roaming. Ancient Apparition by his lonesome, not at all a scary lane support. In fact, he's a very vulnerable one. So Enchantress maybe can kind of garner an advantage early on through roaming around and kind of poking at this safe lane of Sacred, which, for the most part, you kind of expect to be the safe laner plus the Ancient Apparition, and that's all as the Spirit Breaker's trying to, find skirmishes elsewhere. So I like the concept. I agree that it is a bit awkward with the first pick Undying coming out, but, this combination anywhere they go can be very potent in the early game. So we'll see if they kind of, relegate Undying. I shouldn't say relegate, maybe promote Undying to that 3 position and add another support to kind of give them a bit more stability as far as, their safe lane goes.
We have seen a couple of teams mix up Enchantress, promoting her into roles where she's allowed to get a little more farm and actually lane. those are few and far between. Those depend very heavily on what lane matchups you're expecting. Like, you don't want to be facing up against Alina as Enchantress. That's just not fun. But, there may be some situations here. But for Sacred, they'll get bound out from them heroes that can really combo out the AA. Viper's still in. They're going to go for a Luna first. Again, Benjaz is one of his better heroes. And as far as dealing with an Undying, dealing with an Enchantress, Luna is a very premium hero in that regard. But I was going to say Viper. Viper is, well, obviously just a huge hero right now. But even outside of that, being able to break Enchantress's Untouchable is incredible. It feels broken. Like, it feels like you're cheating whenever you do that.
Yeah. Man, you're slowly turning it into Mott with your Viper fanboy statements.
I'm not a Viper fanboy. I'm just really surprised that he's not being picked up as much here in the other parts of the world. Because he's like first pick in EU and all the other games I've seen, but just never here. It's weird.
Yeah, I suppose, SA are a little bit late or perhaps missed the boat as far as kind of figuring out where he belongs. You mentioned their kind of inclination to lean on these comfort picks, and Viper perhaps just one that wasn't in their arsenal, and they're having trouble kind of finding where he fits into drafts. He's not quite the lane dominator that he used to be, but now being able to scale with that farming mechanic and having that break for team fights, he definitely feels overall like a stronger hero. You mentioned Luna, pretty good as far as mobility goes, one of the highest move speed heroes in the game, so that's not too bad against the zombies. Range is a little gimp as far as attacking this Tombstone, but she should be mobile enough, and as you mentioned, great against the Enchantress with the Eclipse. Doesn't necessarily have to right-click her as well. You have the Ice Blast on top of that at some point in the game, presumably, so Enchantress Untouchable, perhaps not as scary of a proposition to fight into this game as it is in general. We talked about kind of adding stability to the safe lane. This Rubik kind of screams that here for Elite Wolves. So it is going to be one of the Undying or the Enchantress in the core role.
Looks like we have off lane selection here for Sacred. Still lacking their mid lane. They have the last pick, as you guys can see. So if you want to save that for last, and they certainly will be able to pull that off. But Rubik and Enchantress, unless they really want to switch things up here, Elite Wolves, I assume the Rubik Enchantress is going to be the 5 and 4, so these two probably work the best together. Rubik's ability to displace heroes into Enchantress's creeps, into the slows, and into the right clicks does do a hell of a lot of damage. Troll Warlord can definitely contribute into that as well. Undying, though, played as a core, is going to have some game going up against these softer heroes. Luna, AA, Nature's Prophet also pretty darn squishy. But it is going to naturally set your lineup on a little bit of a timer. You don't really want to be going late game as Undying ever. With a Troll Warlord, they'll have a little bit more building instruction now, but it seems like Elite Wolves still need a little bit more.
Yeah, they have something to take Roche as well, which is nice. I think the big point is it's a safe laner that can deal with Nature's Prophet having the blind against the Treants. We saw, it's kind of interesting. I always like to see this. Teams get beat by a hero, and then they tend to pick it up not too long after. Tavo's Nature's Prophet absolutely crushed Sacred yesterday. So they're going to pick it up for King Tekka here. We'll see how he fares. But that Prophet game for Tavo was against pretty much a 1v1 against a Lifestealer, if I recall correctly. And in this game, even if he's 1v1, he's up against a Troll who has, a lot better innate toolkit to deal with the Prophet. So I really like the pick from Elite Wolves in response. But I mean, Sacred have AA Spirit Breaker, Nature's Prophet. So this early game, despite there being an Undying Enchantress on the other side, is going to be definitely a hard fought one for Elite Wolves. So the lanes should tell, be very telling as to how this game is going to go into the early mid game.
Need some catch here for Elite Wolves. It's going to be a Queen of Pain. Not really the best hero at finding initiation, as I don't really know who's going to do it on the Elite Wolves side. When you get an Orchid, you can somewhat start fights, but certainly a nice hero to have up against that Nature's Prophet as Sacred. Now going to grab a Lina. Heavy nukes going up against these soft heroes, the Rubik Enchantress, even Queen of Pain Troll Warlord, not really bulky versus all that magic damage. So little bit of a nuking draft here from the Sacred side. Elite Wolves, is this lineup aggressive enough? Because if this Undying is going to be played in the core with the Troll and the Queen of Pain, do they actually have enough aggressive power to make sure that this Undying doesn't just completely fall off? I'm not completely convinced that they do.
I think Sacred have done an excellent job dealing with the Undying pick. You've got a charge out with the Spear Breaker. You've got a naturally mobile hero in Luna. You got a Prophet who should kind of keep his distance and TP out, but still is a little bit vulnerable. But Lina, one of the best heroes in the game against the Undying. You have the Fiery Soul. You have 600 attack range to right-click down that Tombstone, and you have the move speed that the Fiery Soul gives you as well. So you've got 3 heroes with kind of global presence with the Prophet, AA, and Spear Breaker, and then you've got Luna and Lina who are both very quick in their own right. So even if they don't necessarily have things like boots of travel, they can jump in and out of fights kind of at their will. So I really think this is, from the last few series we've seen of Sacred, one of the better strategies they've put together. Again, though, you can't always get rolled in the lane when there's an Enchantress Undying opposing you. But we talked about kind of the stand-in factor at the beginning for Elite Wolves as well. So putting together a strategy that requires a lot of coordination with a stand-in, we'll see how difficult that ends up being for them. I like what Sacred has put together overall, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're both also on the Enchantress Rubik supports core Undying. Tomoki was a core earlier, and Wu and Seshid, who's currently Seshid not having picked yet, are looking like they're going to take the supports as Rubik Undying, putting Enchantress in the off lane. Rubik Undying is really great at grinding out lanes, not really great at making rotations. Undying just naturally isn't really that hero. Yeah. And I'm kind of concerned for putting up the Enchantress in that off lane. Like, looking at this Sacred draft, just these 3 heroes you would expect to be in that safe lane, Luna, AA, occasionally the Spear Breaker, Enchantress doesn't have a chance against those heroes. There's way too much magic damage from these heroes, and probably enough control to get through Enchantress, even through Sprites, even through Untouchable, unless she's like level 7 or something like that. It seems like a really, really risky way to play. She could mess with the AA for sure, but if she gets hit with the charge ever by the Spirit Breaker, she's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. There is something to be said about Elite Wolves' high ground, I suppose. Tombstone, Sonic Wave, pretty damn good at dealing with defending high ground. I don't see a great building hitter for Sacred side. I mean, I suppose you get the Luna enough farm, maybe something like a Butterfly, and you have a Solar Crest behind her on the Spirit Breaker, and you can throw her up on the high ground. But definitely seems like it's going to be a hurdle for them to surmount at some point in this game. We'll see how it ends up going. I would expect Undying Enchantress to be in the off lane. Kind of mentioned how Troll deals with Nature's Prophet decently. I think with a Rubik by him, they should be just fine there. So I don't think they'll leave the Enchantress on an island completely, but I suppose that remains to be seen. So we'll see what they kind of decide to do.
Welcome back to SA Dota, by the way. Gonna start things off.
I forgot about this part. Yes.
They were also just like, there's a pause in the draft. Like, that's why it took so long to actually get into the game. I'm not really sure what happened there, but hopefully that's going to be the last pause. Pretty sure the heroes that we see here on Sacred, Benjaz, Luna, Tekka, Nature's Prophet, Leo Style, Mid, Lina, Masoku, Ancient Apparition, Matthew, Spear Breaker are not going to be swapped around at all. And, well, they haven't swapped on the other end either. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough match, I think, for Elite Wolves. They kind of cheesed out a victory up against their last opponents in Mad Kings, but, I mean, the comparison here between Sacred and Mad Kings as far as how stiff the competition is, like, there's just such a huge rise in difficulty here for Elite Wolves.
Yeah, especially with the stand-in, so we'll see. I mean, there's definite potential for them to roll the lanes, and we've seen, on numerous occasions how important getting an early lead can be in this patch and in the previous patch. So there's definite potential here, but I gotta agree that Sacred would be a relatively heavy favorite in my books.
Well, hopefully we can actually get going. Matthew's here. Everyone's here. It's time to play some Dota. No,
or is it?
We're not gonna play any Dota. Any like weird item things coming out here? Not really. Boots first on Enchantress. I mean, she's gonna be pretty quick, but as fast as you may be as Enchantress, Spirit Breaker is gonna be a little bit faster. In general, I mean, not really a fast hero though, Spirit Breaker, unless he's charging.
Yeah.
Kind of surprisingly slow, actually, 285. It's the compensation for his passives, of course.
Yeah. So Undying picks up the Orb of Venom off the get-go. Interesting.
Ooh.
I don't know how often I've seen this, but we'll see how it pans out.
Orb of Venom does do a lot of damage. We see it on the Undying and the Nature's Prophet as a loadout item. As a Nature's Prophet, like just as a additional damage tool, it's quite nice. As an Undying, I'm not sure if you actually ever get to punch anyone. Like, you don't have any disables by yourself. You really have to lean heavily on your friendly supports to get you in range to actually hit things.
Charm is decent at that, but yeah, I gotta agree. It's kind of
smoke.
Something to note.
Looks like the Queen of Pain is like, F you guys, I'm going this way. Now, she's gonna join the pack, as it should be the pretty common rune split nowadays. Is Radiant getting the south, or, you know, as long as they split. The two across the river, they're so close to one another nowadays. Tekka
he's
going to be
well
in a really
positioned.
good position to reveal this. The slows are there, and Tekka now has to bail. I don't think they actually even saw him.
Yeah,
So that smoke didn't do anything.
Well, we get the bounty rune, but 50 gold for it, so really, it's only a 50 gold surplus. Either way, at least the Nature's Prophet for Sacred Side's going to survive for now. And we do see PRD walking over towards mid for the onset of the game. So probably will rotate down towards Tomoki's lane afterwards. Maybe just throw out a couple of harassing blows onto Leo style early on.
Well, Queen of Pain and Lina just going to be duking it out right now. Matchup we haven't actually seen in quite a long time. Lina has definitely fallen off as far as her popularity is concerned, but as far as what you need a Lina to be doing, and as far as what Lina can do, she pretty much still can do it pretty darn well. Just nuke some fools down, especially when you're looking at softer heroes. Rubik nowadays seems like he's mostly keeping his null field on the offensive version. With this particular draft they have, keeping it defensive might just be a little bit better, but magic damage still hurts. And Tekka up against these two, Troll and the Rubik, is going to be in for a world of hurt shortly. They could have just lifted him up into the Troll Warlord and dealt so much extra damage there, but this is a lane where Tekka really has to lean heavily on his treants to give him that lane control. Otherwise, he can very easily die.
Yeah, and it is hard to do up against a Troll Warlord who has some pretty good ways of dealing with it. But, I mean, their laning counterparts in the Enchantress and the Undying, they're not getting much done either on their east side of the map, as the Enchantress has just the 1 CS. They will start to posture a little bit more aggressively now that they've got a creep. So the big old tomato going to try and get some work done against this tri-lane. Matthew hanging around here for the early bit to at least secure the Luna, and I don't hate that decision at all, as Lina should fare pretty well on her own in the 1v1 mid.
Really hard to charge in towards a Queen of Pain and actually make that work. You need to combo it up with an LSA, and obviously that's impossible, being a level 3 Lina without LSA, so they'll charge in towards the Enchantress. Beam is used a little bit early, and they still will get a nice, lucky Greater Bash. Tomoki will fall.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta roll those dice, and sometimes it gets you a kill. Masoku will sneak in. The last hit there, though, is gonna hug the Hellbear. Gets decayed as well, and is going to shuffle around a little bit. Does take care of the Hellbear. But Seshid is right on his tail with the Enchantress coming back in. I feel like the AA probably could have just run in a straight line and survived, but either way is gonna go down now. Seshid gonna moonwalk down into Benjaz, being punched quite heavily with that Orb of Venom now getting some pretty serious game. And the AA is back, but his cooldowns not really cooperative. They still freeze the Undying with Tekka coming in as well. Seshid is going to rip himself a little bit of HP, but not nearly enough. Tomoki now on the way out. Is there a charge? There is, but it's gonna be a little bit too slow. They'll beam her, they'll hit her a couple more times, but it is still going to be an ultimate 2-for-1 in favor of Sacred, including that first blood.
Yeah, we often consider this Nature's Prophet as, you know, one of the lane dominating heroes, but we forget to mention sometimes this potential. When you see an early phase Undying, you know that, especially with it's coupled with an Enchantress, you know that the lanes are an extremely important part of the opponent's ability to kind of scale in towards the mid game, and always having that X factor of the Prophet to come in and tip the scales as far as the numbers go is really going to bode well for your ability to kind of weather this storm and, in fact, take the lead against the Undying early on. So really nice pick from Sacred, and good recognition there from King Tekka to get into the fight when he was needed. As well with that first kill on the Spearbreaker. Matthew staying out of vision, patient, gets his level 2 and only goes in as soon as he has that bash skilled up. And as you mentioned, that's what got him the kill. So forward they'll go again. Beam, Cold Feet, and the charge is there, but they kind of overlap once again, the charge and the beam. So they don't get the Cold Feet proc. Still though, the Undying kind of out in no man's land now, and with only the level 1 decay, big cooldown there, he's going to get dropped down. Lucent Beam will finish him off for Benjaz.
Yeah, I mean, in this type of lane when you're going up against heroes that are just traditionally pretty hard to kill, you gotta make sure you eke as much value as you can off of your spells. Lucent Beam is not really a part of a chain stun usually, but in this particular lane scenario, you do want every single minuscule millisecond you can get. It works out pretty well for them in the end, and Spirit Breaker again is going to charge in, this time from the back onto Tomoki, pushing him a little bit closer to the Luna. There is no AA in range, although there is Tekka in range, because he's always in range. Grip on Tomoki, he's going to give him a lot of HP, but the Sprout is there to slow her down for just a little bit for a beam to come down. And this lane for Luna, like, it's pretty tough on the onset, but once you get ahead and once you actually level up your beam to level 2, level 3, it's really hard to actually fall behind because your beam just does so much damage. And at this point with the Aquila, she has enough mana to sustain the casting.
Yeah, and impressively so, she's kept up almost exactly equal with the Troll Warlord as far as CS goes, even with King Tekka leaving that top lane and all the skirmishing they've been doing here bottom. So all things going very well for Benjaz. You mentioned at the onset of the game that, you know, this is one of his most comfortable heroes, and he definitely shows it in his play. Benjaz, though, is a little bit out by his lonesome bottom lane. Don't know that the Dire necessarily have that information with no real aggressive warding down to tip them to that fact.
Tried to go for the mid lane Quap. Really difficult to do as a Spirit Breaker. At this point, you at least have the LSA for the Lina, so there's a chance that works out, but I expect Matthew to just camp out in the bottom lane. Speaking of, charging right back in, going for the Undying. Not really sure if that's going to work out, but in the meantime, everyone else is going for Tomoki. They get a Freighter Bash! Matthew, the Lucker! They need another beam. Cooldown, it's up, and they just need the vision. Matthew is going to give them that vision. It's not quite enough damage. Charge back in. A Greater Bash will seal the deal, but with the Untouchable, it's really hard to actually make that happen. The TP out from the Spirit Breaker will get him out to safety. Benjaz will run out by himself. Looks like the Enchantress with that raindrop is going to be just healthy enough to get out of there, but Ancient Apparition does not have a raindrop. Will get pulled right back in by Wu. Tomoki in a circle around once again with the Enchant Slow. Gets beaten down. They'll grab the Bounty Rune. Another beam will get blocked by the raindrop. Tomoki will survive. Level 2 Untouchable. There's quite a bit of survivability, and this time there was no Tekka involvement. Is just looking to get some CS up on the top lane. So this time it's going to work out a little bit better for the Elite Wolves side, but ultimately just picking off the Ancient Apparition is the end result, although Matthew is actually taking a lot of damage himself. Already used the charge. We'll get Fade Bolted, just right click down. I don't know how he ended up there, but that is not a good place for a Spirit Breaker to be. Yeah,
prior to the Spirit Breaker death, I would say that, you know, Sacred are totally fine with that last little exchange. As you mentioned, King Tekka was farming up on top lane. He's almost at that level 6 mark and well on the way to a set of drums. So he did kind of recover nicely with a little bit of free time in the top lane. So, you know, trading over a support Ancient Apparition, I don't feel the biggest loss. Benjaz still farming nicely, has a couple kills and a couple assists under his belt. But yeah, losing the Spirit Breaker on the back end, not ideal. Although, Matthew does get the Queen of Pain mid lane.
Sometimes you just gotta dive deep. I actually missed most of that because I'm a great cameraman, but Spirit Breaker sealed the deal. Lina did most of the work. You see Laguna Blade is on cooldown. Quap has been struggling, to say the least. Leo style is no pushover. You gotta respect this player quite a bit. And I have no idea who this Queen of Pain is, so I can't really say the same about him. He's going to jump in towards Leo style, but at this point, the mana is up on the Lina. She can certainly dish a lot of damage from a much safer range than the Queen of Pain can, not to mention the fact she has a one level lead on the Quap. Leo style is going to be really tough to deal with right now, and Enchantress, if she is ever going to roam in towards mid, her presence is going to be very easily noticeable by Benjaz on this bottom lane, so I'm not entirely sure who can help out this Quap to get back in the lane versus the Lina, whereas Matthew, on the other hand, is all over the place.
Yeah, even Masoku doing decently as he picks up the Bounty Rune. He's going to take the level 4 mark on the Ancient Apparition. We all know how important levels are on that hero. So we'll see how he scales into this one. Troll Warlord doing very well for himself, mixing in a bit of jungling, sitting atop the CS, and he's kind of the silver lining of the early game. But TP forward, maybe going to look for him. The Treant's going to do a little bit of scouting here. Matthew is under the cover of smoke, and it being daytime, they should get vision of this Rubik pretty soon. They actually bring Benjaz up with the Ring of Aquila to this top lane as well. So looking for this early tower. Flying vision from the Sprout doesn't seem like it quite caught the Rubik there. And even so, they more than likely wouldn't have been able to disable him as Benjaz on the south side of the tower. But 9 minutes in or so, this is going to be a relatively free tier 1 here for Sacred.
such an uncommonly seen rotation from Luna. Like, usually if Luna's going to be pushing a tower, it's going to be within her own lane, simply because you don't really want to be moving around with this hero. You want to be pushing towers, but also getting farm first and foremost. But spending a little bit of time to smoke up, going to this top lane is going to get them a tower, gives the Ancient Apparition a lot of time to get solo EXP on the bottom lane in the meantime. So, kind of unexpected. You expect that to happen from Terrorblades, more so than for Luna's. You can definitely do it a lot more effectively, but running around with this threat of Eclipse certainly can't be underestimated. As in the meantime, Leostyle was still, he has got this lane unlocked. Quap has been off lane actually for a very long time, and Leostyle Matthew's going to team up, take down this tower. Elite Wolves, they're still farming in these lanes kind of, but they're very easily being forced out. Axes onto Matthew. There is a lift up here for the Rubik. LSA will be dodged. Matthew is very, very durable, so I'm not sure if they can actually do anything here. They'll just have to let him go. You can see that's pretty much the extent of what Elite Wolves can do offensively.
Yeah, and Leostyle's just been able to camp mid lane all game, so he has everything he wants as far as CS and levels, and gonna be doing some work definitely in this mid lane, looking to queue up a Kaya.
There's a Eclipse with his name on it, and it will hit 2 beams. Get a third one just in case. Easy kill.
Yeah, and rotation in from King Tekka is going to mean they can, at very least, pressure this tower. They do have the Undying nearby with a level 3 Tombstone, so if they choose to defend this, they're certainly capable with the Enchantress now respawning.
They definitely saw Wu. Okay, now I'm pretty sure they see the Undying as well. Quap is kind of lagging behind. This is the big problem here with these heroes. How do you actually catch someone off guard? Rubik is the only one who can do it, pretty much ever. So they'll just rotate everyone down here for, I guess, a defense. But again, in the meantime, Leostyle is camping mid, as you said. Top lane's being camped by the Spirit Breaker, now getting a lot of experience, and this Kaya on the Lina is going to be doing some serious damage. Not to mention the mana savings. On a hero like Lina, who's so mana hungry, does a lot of work. Tombstone going to be deployed up near where the shrine used to be. Setchid, though, taking so much damage from the Luna. They'll stick the treants on the Tombstone, get another free chunk of cash there. Tekka going to teleport really aggressively in, gets the Sprout onto Wu, doesn't die to the Queen of Pain either, though is still hit with the poison, will eventually drop to Tomoki. No deny attempt there. Elsa is going to go wide. Laguna Blade, though, does not, as the Queen of Pain is taking a lot of damage from that, but still will slip away. Leostyle is being chased out and will be dropped. A 2-for-1 so far. They'll get into the shrine. No Eclipse for another minute. The courier is going to get shielded in time. Now Matthew makes his arrival. Onto the Troll Warlord, gets the kill there. Tomoki with these sprites is going to get himself out of there. He will be fine. But that fight for Sacred, definitely not as clean as they would really like it to be. The Queen of Pain getting some pretty sick value off of those AoE abilities.
Yeah, Enchantress, 750 experience and 666 gold as well. Actually, net gold slightly going the way of the Dire side. So definitely not ideal for Sacred. Looked like just a bit of misfire as far as their focus for Sacred side. Matthew came in early. We saw him sitting sitting top to get levels, and he was level 6 for that fight, but he was off on the east side where Leostyle was kind of battling up against the cores of Sacred, and he wasn't able to join with his Lina. Also, the Queen of Pain aggressively blinks in, has no mana left, and unfortunately Leostyle missed the LSA there. Bottom lane though, Ice Blast flying up. Tomoki just barely is going to be able to dodge it, but yeah, just an awkward fight overall for Sacred. It still feels like they're in the driver's seat in this early game. Have 2 towers under their name. The third one relatively close to deny range, so definitely can still fight. Eclipse going to be popped out, and with 1 Lucent Beam, we talked about it in the draft scheme. Enchantress going to melt. Now the Laguna Blade on the east finds them an Undying. It is stolen, however, by Wusi, but still 2 kills, and that'll mean a tower for sure for the Radiant side.
If you're playing an Enchantress and you see a Luna, if you don't have any summons or creep stolen there, you gotta get the hell out. 2 beams already destroys the Enchantress. That was even with Raindrop. I didn't notice the Raindrop at all, personally, so Enchantress is going to get absolutely torched. The Lina, with this Kaya and the Arcane Boots, is going to have probably enough mana to just spam out for Fiery Soul stacks. Only is level 1 right now, so not the most value, but still, just having these treants on the front lines, having this threat of the Lina and the Luna, just with right clicks alone, even without their ultimates, really difficult to deal with. I mean, Troll Warlord does not want to take part in any of this. He's going for the farming build. He's going to go for a Battle Fury. Already has the Perseverance towards it, so he's not too far away. In fact, he's doing very well as far as his own net worth is concerned, but that's mostly because Attune is able to dodge most of these really heavy engagements. The rest of his allies, they are suffering, and suffering a lot.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice, the Battle Fury is. I'm just trying to kind of justify it in my mind. It makes sense kind of against the Treant and against, Lena, who's going to keep your waves shoved in. Uh, but it doesn't really give you the Roche taking ability that you probably want, or the team fighting ability. That with an Undying and an Enchantress in your draft, you kind of commit to taking. So we'll see how it ends up panning out. But it definitely looks like, as you mentioned, they're kind of going to look to sit back and farm away before they really look to take these full 5-on-5 engagements. And that's not necessarily, ideal when you draft an Undying first phase. So at least for now, they'll keep all their tier 2s standing and healthy.
Movement here is going to be spotted. The Observer technically did see... Okay, well, it saw Toon smoke, then he broke it right under the Observer. I don't know how much attention Sacred are actually paying to that Observer ward they placed earlier, but they should know about this. Woo, if you're Rubik right now, you really just want to ditch this Laguna Blade before it just times out naturally. Looking for anyone they can find. They're so close to an Ancient Apparition. They'll place an Obs that will see him, but at this point they're a little bit too far, so this smoke doesn't look like it'll actually do all that much.
Yeah.
They are assembling the troops on this bottom lane looking for a tier 1. But at the same time, Tekka, he's already assembled his army. He's going to get a little bit more. Looking for a tier 2. I don't even know, can they even kill off this tier 1? I mean, maybe eventually, but for sure it's going to be at a pretty severe cost.
Yeah, they're already losing their tier 2 rather hastily, and rotating up some more heroes is Sacred, daring them to look for a trade here. They could even chip away at this tier 3, and it looks like that will be the call for Sacred side. They're going to glyph their tier 1 bottom, which is free. They can even use the glyph after to push offensively, as we know it now affects the creeps. Rubik going to TP in alongside the Undying, and it will just be a bit of chip damage secured by Sacred. So they'll back off safe, feeling, content with their spoils and safe with their lead. They do get down not too long ago a pretty deep Observer ward, though, as well, to couple up with the one that you were touching upon near the shrine.
Nature's Prophet, Midas, and Drums. Very, very fight-ready build with that Drums and Hand of Midas, just because he's gotten so much extra cash. But now at this point, 1,800 gold, the world is his oyster. You can go with Shadow Blade into Silver Edge, try to deal with that Enchantress. You can get some Heaven's Halberd type action, deal with the Troll Warlord, Orchid just for general assassination versus the Quap. You have so many options here as Tekka. Right now, as long as he stays safe, should be able to keep farming and can go for any of those items. The rotation is going to spot Tomoki and Attune on the bottom lane. That means for Benyaz and Leo style, they're just going to jump into action. Nether Strike, canceled by Matthew. Will consider one more time, is going to very easily get punished for that indecision. Takes a Laguna Blade to the dome, charges back in because he can. Will eventually go down. Leo style now in a little trouble. Turns around. Oh my god, and just blows up Tomoki. Now here comes the Eclipse. It's gonna mostly miss versus Wu. That didn't do as much damage as I thought it would do, but still Benyaz can clean up here. Although his allies have been taken out. Will try to TP out. Should be fine to do so. And is gonna make it back to the fountain. It's gonna be a 2-for-2 exchange for Sacred, not bringing in Tekka into that engagement. Not having the Ancient Apparition in that fight either certainly is going to be hurting them. But they get away with the Luna at least.
Yeah, indecision kills, I guess. Matthew was on the opposite side of the trees where the Dire... I'm not sure that they had vision of him, but he queued up his Nether Strike and canceled it, and then immediately got lifted and gone on. And he just blows up, unfortunately, because of the Wu steal of that Laguna Blade, which he does no longer have. But it's a nice little trade for the Dire side, for Elite Wolves. And because the top tier 2 was already taken, King Tekka not able to punish them elsewhere. So they'll keep their tier 2 standing for the time being. Still, though, Benyaz doesn't die in that fight, neither does the Prophet, and they'll continue to scale throughout.
Luna found a lot of gold here. Ancients were stacking. We saw in the quick chat, Luna was like, stacked creeps now, guys. Exactly for this, Luna can clean these out, no problem whatsoever. Already has the farming item necessary in the Mask of Madness. Dragonlance now going to go for a little bit of defensive itemization in that Manta style, and I guess for Luna it's a very offensive item as well, but at any rate is going to be looking to catch up still with the Troll Warlord, Battle Fury, and Yasha. Attune has again been able to avoid the vast majority of these engagements and is making some really good time with his farm, but at a certain point it's not going to be enough. Ooh, Spearbreaker gets lifted out of his Nether Strike, is going to cast it one more time, this time going towards Wu. He is going to steal the charge, get away from the Ice Blast, and Matthew now is going to get some help from the Glimmer Cape, and there's no detection actually, so the Spirit Breaker should survive, and he will. Very, very awkward, but this Troll Warlord, he's packing an absolute cannon, but still he's vulnerable up until the point he picks up his BKB. Until that point, though, it's going to be Sacred dictating the pace of the game. That was a pathetic Sprout force of nature, but still going for that Roche. Here comes the crash party, though. It is going to be, in the back end first. Masoku getting a jump by the Queen of Pain. Glimmer Cape going to save him for a little while. They take the Queen of Pain pretty much out of the fight just with the bashes. Already dropped very low, just trying to take out these two supports, and is forced to blink away. Leo Style is pushing forward, just looking for some sort of catch, but the catch has already been used versus that Quap and the Spirit Breaker. His job has pretty much already been done. The crash is not really all that successful, but they do stop the Roshan from being cleared out down to half HP, and Tekka, once again, on this bottom lane, is being a rat as per usual, letting Leo Style and Benyaz try to finish up Roche.
Yeah, really nicely played. Very good patience from Sacred around the Roche. We talked about them getting the Solar Crest on the Spirit Breaker. He's already got the medallion, so it helps them take this rather quickly. But they play very patiently there. They have a lot of vision around the east side of the map as well, which facilitates the split push of the Nature's Prophet. And as soon as they see that Elite Wolves are content to defend bottom lane, they just hop right back into Roche. Meanwhile, top lane, Ice Blast flying right on top with the Orchid. You mentioned it as a possibility for King Tekka, and he's caught it already. And alongside Matthew and Masoku's AA, they will get a big kill in that Queen of Pain, who is now down, I mean, 5th in net worth, so not far as position goes, but 3K behind the Tricar of the Radiant.
BKB right now is going to get charged. There is another strike here with the beam. They'll just right-click him down, and Dragon Slave not even needed. Leo Style still has that Laguna Blade, though he needs to land a stun. Not really easy to do. Elsa is going to be landing on the Luna. Throws out a Laguna Blade onto the Rubik, but the No Field can keep him alive for a little while longer. They're going to dive the tier 3s here, and with the Aegis, should be pretty safe to do so. Just working down the Undying and taking out his Tombstone. Tomoki will snag the Aegis out from Benyaz, but now here comes Tekka. Is going to wall the Enchantress in. The right clicks are slow, but they hit really hard with that Chilling Touch. Benyaz is back at full HP thanks to that Aegis. They'll have to back up and take this tier 2, but it's already very, very weakened. With 4 heroes down, they can once again look to chip at the high ground. I don't think they can get this tower down, but maybe they can. Benyaz does have a Mask of Madness and a lot of damage. I think this tower is going down.
Glyph is there. They definitely don't want to buy back, but they can at least on the Enchantress. So the 4 heroes up now, and it looks like Sacred will be able to take the tier 3 and more than likely just back after it. They are going to look to go into the melee racks, though. Feeling rather
start bouncing through. It's doing so much damage, especially to the Rubik in the back. LSI onto the 2 on the side with a charge coming in as well. Enchantress already walled out of this fight. Eclipse is going to land only onto heroes, killing off the Undying, dropping the Queen of Pain very, very low. Laguna Blade will finish off the Enchantress as Queen of Pain will make a very clutch escape. Ice Blast coming in. Woo, is that lethal damage? With the No Field, probably not, but already the damage has been done. The entire bottom set of racks are down and gone. 17k lead all of a sudden for Sacred, and they are just pushing the issue non-stop. I'm not sure what Elite Wolves can do to stem this bleeding. They got to get this Troll Warlord that BKB.
And they get a ward down inside the enemy base as well in the meantime, so they'll have some information as to who's back defending, if they can find some picks hereafter. And with a Spirit Breaker and a Nature's Prophet who's got the Orchid now, they have a great potential to find pickoffs and then essentially just end the game. So what the hell do either of us know? I thought they'd play it safe there, and they just take the racks right out of the grasp of Elite Wolves. Now they'll take the Shrine on the top side of the map, so Roche is free to them to grab at their leisure going forward, and they have more than enough capability to keep these lanes constantly shoved in.
Going for a second set with a double damage rune on Luna. I mean, that's pretty powerful, but not really sure if they're at that point just yet. They'll just go for the other Shrine. Tekka with that actually Dragon Lance. Interesting build from Nature's Prophet. Feeling pretty comfortable now. Here comes the Ice Blast. Spirit Breaker, though, is going to get lifted up out of his charge. He will still be able to get the Nether Strike out. Now trying to make a break for it. Luna in the middle of the fight doing some pretty serious damage. They've isolated the Enchantress. From the low ground, even Benyaz working up onto Tomoki. They'll finish her with the Laguna Blade. That's only down for a minute. This is a serious cooldown reduction here on the Lina and her Laguna Blade, as now the Glade's going to start to bounce through. Once this tower falls, I don't think Wu can actually even get close to this. There's way too much bounce damage here from the Luna. And there it goes. Look at the Glaives go. Witch Doctor, eat your heart out. Sechet is getting his ass kicked by just bouncing Glaives on the sidelines. And Benyaz is clearing out racks all the while. just off the pick of an Enchantress, and in the meantime, up towards top lane, they're killing fools as well. Rubik's already down. Ice Blast will land onto the Undying. He may just shatter to this, but it doesn't matter. The GG has already been called. 22 minutes. It was looking a little bit better than this for the Elite Wolves side, but Sacred, they turn up the heat, and ultimately the Troll Warlord, he doesn't ever get into those fights.
Yeah, it is just a great piece of drafting from Sacred, and they executed, what they wanted to. Picking the Spirit Breaker immediately after the Undying, getting the Ancient Apparition and the Lina, as well as the Luna against the Enchantress. She absolutely had no traction in this game right from the get-go in the laning stage. They lean on Leo Style, one of their most skilled players, arguably, and just let him 1v1 in the mid lane. They keep the Spirit Breaker bottom and absolutely destroy the Undying Enchantress. So really well executed and well drafted overall from Sacred. Not much else to write home about there. I think they just outclassed Elite Wolves in this first game.
You can definitely see how clunky their support offlane situation was. Like, we were confused by it the entire drafting phase, and ultimately those three heroes, they are just so clunky that they just don't have any impact whatsoever on the bottom of the net worth chart by the time the game ends. Definitely not where you want your offlane's offensive dual offlane to be. But hey, Elite Wolves take a spill here. They did come back from a 1-game loss in the previous set, so they still have a pretty good chance. We'll see what they can do up against Sacred. Sacred looking mighty strong here. It's going to be happening in Game 2, guys. I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by MRP Dota. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 coming soon.